Brazil has registered a record 34,918 COVID-19 cases in a day, while nearly 1,300 people died as the country's death toll crossed 45,000. While in the US, 840 more people have lost their lives in the past 24 hours as the toll surged to nearly 117,000. Meanwhile, the global COVID-19 death count has crossed 441,000 with more than 8.1 million infections. More in this report.
As COVID-19 cases soar, the US has now lost more lives to the new coronavirus than the American death toll in World War I. In China, Beijing has shut all schools and cancelled over 1,200 flights amid fears of a second wave.
The situation of the outbreak has become extremely severe. Therefore, under the guidance of the expert team from the National Health Commission, we have recently organized experts to assess the development of the outbreak. According to the leading group for COVID-19 prevention and control in Beijing, we, after applying for approval in line with procedure, decided to raise the emergency response in Beijing from the 3rd level to the 2nd level, starting from this moment on June 16th.
In Europe, most of the countries have begun to ease lockdown restrictions and establish travel corridors. The UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson says London seeks unrestricted travel to Spain and France as soon as possible.
Just to say, obviously, I'll be talking to Emmanuel Macron about all sorts of ways in which we can bring our countries together, making sure that we eventually will be able to travel freely to and from each other's countries. Same goes obviously for Spain as soon as we can. The reason for having the quarantine system is very simple. We don't want to re-import the disease.
Meanwhile, New Zealand has deployed military to oversee the quarantine facilities and strengthen border checks after 2 new cases.
This case represents an unacceptable failure of the system. It should never have happened, and it cannot be repeated. From the beginning, we have taken an extraordinarily cautious approach at the border. That is why we have required every returning New Zealander to go into a facility that we manage.
Meanwhile, Mexico has reported almost 4,600 new infections along with 730 fatalities in past 24 hours. In Honduras, President Juan Orlando Hernandez has been diagnosed with the coronavirus.